Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech, and I want to talk to you today about a website that every competitive player should definitely visit. It is the Wizards of the Coast Judge Center. This is where you can take quizzes to improve your rules knowledge. Now, it sounds like it may only be for judges, but I strongly advocate for more than just judges going to this site. I was an old school player. I started a long time ago, and after M10, the rules drastically changed for Magic. They got rid of things like mana burn, they redesigned the way that the stack works, the way damage is dealt changed. And when I came back to Magic about 2.5 years ago, I had no idea how drastically the rules had changed. I was basically able to get along in games, and occasionally somebody would mention that something was different. But it wasn't until about a year ago I went to this website that I realized how much of the rules had changed and how out of date my rules knowledge was. And we're actually going to go over to it now and show you what it is. So first, let me show you the URL here. It's judge.wizards.com, and you just use your DCI number and DCI password to get in. Basically, it is not the prettiest looking website. In fact, it's barely usable from a usability perspective, but it is extremely useful. Now, a little bit of a background here. They don't want you sharing any information about the actual test questions, so I'm going to block those out when we get to them. But what it does is it lets you create a quiz for any of the areas that you qualify for. And let's take a look at some of the different options that are out there when you create a quiz. It has easy and it has hard practice questions and a battery of over 700 judging questions. This is amazing. It also has policy practice and rules advisor practice. The rules advisor is the easiest. The policy practice is stuff that you only really need to concern yourself with if you're playing in tournaments. But I recommend coming in here, taking some of these quizzes, and working your way up to passing the rules advisor exam, because you'll get a much better understanding of Magic and how it works. After you've done any quizzes, there's this very useful interface that has all of your past quizzes and what your percentage scores on them were. The hard practices are really tough. The easy practices are actually tougher than I thought they'd be, especially being an individual who was previously a judge. Let's take a look at one of these. I'm going to black out the question here when we actually get to it, but after you're done with the exam, you get to go through and review the results. And it shows you every single question, it shows you which answer is right, but this is the best part. There's a rule explanation that gives you the exact quote for the rules and a link to that individual rule. And when you click on it, it takes you directly to the game rule and shows you the full text of the rule. This is one of the absolute best ways to learn the rules, because you not only get the correct answer, but you get a full explanation where you can dive in further to figure out what's going on there. And if you don't get it after reading this, I would take the basic idea, not the test question itself, but the basic idea, and put it up on a group like Magic the Seattling and ask other people to explain it to you. There are a lot of people on that group who are judges and love to explain this type of stuff, but it's a great tool to start you in learning the intricacies of judging Magic or just becoming a better competitive player. One of the big mistakes I see people make when they're learning is just ask judges specifically what the outcome of a situation is. The outcome doesn't matter if you don't understand the rules logic behind what's going on. Understanding that rules logic means that next time you get to make a better, more informed decision, and you'll play much better. Now that we've seen the basics of the site, I just also want to mention that there are some things wizards could do to definitely make the site better. And whenever there's a new rules update, it would be great to have a rules-specific quiz for that update. When M14 came out, I would have loved to have a test that I could have taken that was just 25 intensive questions on the M14. Thanks. This has been Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech. I recommend that you go out there and take some quizzes and improve your rules knowledge.